Hi, and welcome to our third day. Today is day three. We are going to talk about volume of shapes starting today, and we are going to specifically focus on the three-dimensional shapes of a sphere, a cylinder, and a cone. All of these shapes have something in common, and just so you're aware, volume, once again, is the amount of space inside a three-dimensional figure. So all of these shapes, a sphere, a cylinder, and a cone, only exist in three dimensions. You are going to need your calculator today, so make sure you have that handy. A lot of the Edpuzzle questions today will indeed use your calculator to make sure you can push the correct buttons on that. And let's get started with the sphere, first of all. So a sphere is just a three-dimensional ball, three-dimensional circle, and the volume formula is 4 times pi. Remember, pi is that symbol right there that I just underlined, times the radius cubed, and then divided by 3. So remember when we talked about circles in our previous video, sometimes we run across the word diameter. So remember, the diameter is the whole distance through the center, and the radius is just half that distance. Or let's just say it's from the center to one side. So some important vocabulary that you're going to hear in this lesson. So number one, it's obviously a sphere. It's on the slide that says sphere. And we've got our formula. Volume is equal to 4 pi r cubed divided by 3. So I'm going to get in the habit of just writing that down each time I do my calculations. And then I'm going to ask myself, well, did they give me they gave me this 12 miles here. Is that a radius or is that a diameter? Well, it goes from the center to one side of the circle, so that makes it a radius. So my radius is 12 of my sphere, and all I got to do is plug that 12 in for the r variable and then punch the numbers on my calculator. So let's see, what does that look like? So 4 pi, I like to put my radius in parentheses, and then I can cube it. And then don't forget that divided by 3 part. That divided by 3 part is really, 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 really important because it's part of the formula. Okay. And that's what we're going to enter into the calculator. So we'll start with 4. And then the pi button, remember, is in blue above the little caret symbol. You're going to have to hit second to get to it. And then I'm going to put parentheses and put my radius in. My radius was 12. Close the parentheses, cube it. To activate the cube is when the exponent is 3. You have to hit this little caret symbol, that same button you hit for the pi. And that you can see the calculator here raises a little exponent. It's asking you to fill it in. So you can put 3. And then you must hit the right arrow to arrow it down. Really, really, really important. And then, oh, let's not forget to divide by 3. I knew there was more. So 7,238.2 miles. And then these miles are cubed. All volume miles are cubed. Area mile units are squared, volume units are cubed. And there is my volume. In number 2, they gave me a measurement of 4, but this time that's the diameter. So if the diameter is 4, the radius is half of that. So the radius is 2. And we're just going to plug that into my volume formula for a sphere. All right. So volume equals 4 pi. My radius is 2 cubed and then divide by 3. Just make sure we can push the buttons. The exponent is going to be the tricky part probably here. 4, second caret key for the pi symbol, and then I like my radius, which was 2, not 1. Close my parentheses, hit the caret key to cube, and then you can't just hit divided by 3. You can't do that. You don't want to do 3 divided by 3. Okay, you want to hit the arrow key and then go down and hit divided by 3. If you're not using the TI-84 that does that cool thing, then great. And you get an answer of 33.5. And this is meters cubed. Remember, this is just a label, a unit of measurement. It's not actually a variable or anything, so don't try and cube that or anything like that in your problem. Anyways, that's a sphere. Next problem is a cylinder, and we're finding volume. So a cylinder is a 3D shape. It's much like a can, can of tomato sauce, can of SpaghettiOs. Everybody loves SpaghettiOs, right? No, Chef Boyardee. Um, and you'll notice here that the volume formula says area of the circle base times the height of the cylinder. Most of these three-dimensional shapes, with the exception of a sphere, have what's known as a base. And you can see here that the blue word of the circle base is kind of highlighted. I can't draw it, but you know, if you look at the three-dimensional figure here that Miss P made, this blue part here, that's your base. And it's really important to identify bases, and because you want to find what's known as the height of the cylinder. The height of the cylinder, or shapes that we'll talk about next called prisms, can always be found by connecting the two bases together. So the height of this cylinder here that I just highlighted is h, and that is the height between the distance between the two bases, and the base on the bottom is been colored in blue already. So the volume formula is really simple. It's pi r squared times h, and you may notice that pi r squared, that's just the area of a circle formula. So the volume of a cylinder is basically area of a circle times the height of the cylinder. So let's look at our base. Our base is right here. Okay, the base doesn't always have to be in the bottom. Okay, don't think about that necessarily all the time. And what is this 16 yards? Is that a diameter or a radius? That is a diameter. So if the diameter is 16, the radius is 8. It's half of that. And that's all we need. And then what's this 11? This 11 is my cylinder height. So let's see, my volume formula is pi times the radius squared times the height of the cylinder. Just fill in our numbers. My radius I said was 8, square it, and then times my height of my cylinder, which I said was 11. And we're just going to push those buttons in our calculator, and we will get our volume of our cylinder, rounded to 1 decimal place. So second caret for pi. My radius was 8, so I squared it. And then I have to multiply by the height of the cylinder, so then I'm times 11. And I get 2,211.7 when we round up. And it's a volume, so the units are cubed. All right, let's look at number 4. Number 4 is also a cylinder. However, the cylinder has been tilted on its side. The base of a cylinder is always going to be the circle shape, just how a cylinder works. So once you find that, I like to color them blue, or kind of some people, because you don't have a highlighter, you could do just like some people like to color the bases by just drawing lines over it. And then let's see, the 6 yards, that's my radius. My height is 9, because the height is going to be the distance between the two bases, so the distance between the two circles of the can. And then we can just plug and chug in our volume formula. My volume is pi r squared times h. Remember, I said it's really good idea to get in the habit of writing the formulas down, so you start learning them by just through the act of writing them. So pi r squared times h is pi 6 squared times 9, and that's what we're going to put in our calculator. Pi times 6 squared times 9. Oops, we don't need two multiplication dots, so if you just arrow over one, you can hit the little button at the top that says DEL for delete. Let's make sure I type that in with what I wrote. Pi 6 squared times 9, pi 6 squared times 9, 1017.9 when we round. And this is yards cubed. And that is our cylinders. Let's look at our last shape for the lesson. We've got cones. Volume of a cone is once again going to be area of the circle base times the height of the cylinder. But we have a typo there. It's not a cylinder, it's a cone. And so that height is, once again, hey, there's that right angle box. That's really important still. The height of the cylinder there, I highlighted in yellow. And then it's kind of, we got this weird aspect of some of these formulas. We've got to divide by 3. Little clue, sometimes with a lot of the shapes that have pointy tops or like that, I highlighted in green. You're gonna very often with a lot of those divide by 3, and you'll see that more tomorrow. So let's look at this first question here on the left, number 5. If my volume formula is pi r squared times h divided by 3, well, let's see. The 12 is my height. And then I'm also going to need my radius. My radius is 6, because it's only half from the center out, so I don't need to do any halvesy stuff. And then really it's just plug and chug. Volume equals pi r squared times h, but because a cone has a pointy top, we're going to divide by 3. So my radius is 6, I'm going to square it, times the height of my cone, which is 12, and then divided by 3 is just part of the formula. And that's what we're going to enter into our calculator. Why don't you go ahead and try it now and see if you can match the Edpuzzle answer. Pi 6 squared, and then times 12. Oops, let's put a multiplication sign in there. And then divided by 3. And double check, times 12 divided by 3. Remember, this little slash is what division looks like on the calculator. And I get 452.4. And that is kilometers cubed. Every volume is cubed for their units. And last shape, we've got our cone again, but this time it's been turned on our side. So our pointy top is over there. The base is the circle base. So here's my circle. And did they give me the diameter or did they give me the radius? It looks like they gave me the diameter. So the radius will be 3. And the height of the cone is 8. The height is the distance from the base to the top of the shape, and it just happens to be slanted. All right, my volume formula, 4. Nope, see, no 4. Volume is equal to pi r squared times the height divided by 3 because of pointy top. And plug and chug. If you find that writing this little like legend of information out, r equals 3, h equals 8, really helps you to just plug and chug, do it. I love doing it myself, as you can see. Pi 3 squared times 8 divided by 3. Pi times 3 squared times 8, and then divided by 3. Notice this time, instead of doing parentheses, I just put a multiplication sign in. That is fine too. And I get 75.4. And this is meters cubed. The most common mistake when a student is calculating a volume of a cone is they forget to do the divided by 3 part. Please, please always make sure you're following your formula. Double check that what you entered in your calculator matches what you write on your paper. So we talked about 3 shapes today, all with circle bases, all right? And the one that's the cone is divided by 3. It's got a pointy top. The sphere is also divided by 3. Doesn't have a pointy top, but that's the exception. And um, every volume formula you'll find out as we go through the unit, and is really just area of the base times the height of the cone, or what we'll talk about tomorrow, prism. So that's just a little foreshadowing. So all of these formulas, this blue text here, pi r squared, that's the area of the circle base in both of these shapes. So thanks for watching, and please make sure you do your practice problems, make sure you're pushing buttons in the calculators right, and ask your teacher for any questions. Thank you very much. Bye.